This is Chase Petiche with Oracle Podcast, here for the week of March 31st till April 6th. The celestial musings, the astrology for the week ahead. Let's talk about it. It's been a wild couple weeks. Let's get real. It was we had a solar eclipse yesterday in the sign of Aries. And man, since it got to the spring equinox, I've just been feeling like, man, that solar power, and in the sign of Aries, I mean, it really is the birth of the new. And if we can carry this energy and work with it, it's such a powerful time to create something new, just to ride the wave of creation, man, and let whatever wants to come out, come out. So as I talked about last time in my podcast, so we were in an eclipse tunnel. March 14th was a full moon lunar eclipse, culminated. Then we were in the eclipse portal. There's a bunch of shedding and release. Then there was an ignition, a restart on yesterday, today, these eclipses, the 29th, 30th. And really, we're in a rebirthing phase. I took part in this incredible medicine prayer gathering to the goddess yesterday that was profound on many levels. And there is a true incantation, initiation energy of the divine feminine rising right now. I can say that in my bones with complete certainty. And it's looking like the feminine element inside of all of us, women included, men included, the feminina, starting to really create strong boundaries around itself so that it can preserve itself and not allow impeding forces to extract or dominate. Through the previous age of Pisces, it was very much a dominator society. So Riane Eisler talks about this, and she's an incredible writer. If nobody's ever read Riane Eisler, she wrote The Chalice and the Blade, and she wrote The Pleasure. What did she write? I'm reading it right now. My brain's a little weird today, but she is an incredible writer, and she writes a lot about dominator versus partnership societies, and a lot about, basically Venus, the energy of Venus, the energy of the goddess, what that means when we used to revere the goddess, which is really the earth, pleasure, beauty, joy, the intuitive parts of ourselves, intuition, moving beyond rationality, allowing spirit to guide us, being in tune with spirit, and all working together for something together that is going to be enhancing and regenerating and collaborating and building. Dominator society was really about, The Chalice and the Blade is a book really about when we went, and it's prehistoric, really. It's, in the ancients, they worshipped the goddess, the Venus of Willendorf is the oldest relic. It's 22,000 years old. I'm sure there's older ones now, but, this round, rotund goddess that was the feminine body that created life on this earth. If you can imagine, the ancients seeing that, probably thought woman was, some sort of god, to be that morphogenic energy of morphing a human from another human and birthing and creating, and the vagina, the vulva as this portal, this receptive portal. And in those societies, it's documented that there was much more partnership. So there was a partnership society. People worked together and they worshipped life. They drank from the chalice, the cup, which the chalice in the tarot is linked to the emotions. It's linked to the water element, the cups. And when we started, there was a period in time basically where we started moving into the blade, worshiping the blade, which really became a worship of death. And it moved from partnership to dominator society. And I mean, you can't really get more metaphoric, just with the phallus and the blade and the chalice and the vulva and these symbols. But ultimately, they're meant to work together. That's the truth. They're meant to work in harmony inside of ourselves. We've externalized a lot of these dynamics between men and women. We've projected a lot of dynamics. The patriarchal world society, it's just wild what's been done to the feminine over thousands of years. It's just wild. This element of life, this element that gives life. I really want to give a shout out to all the mothers of the world right now. It is not easy being a mother in this era. And it's not an easy job. Our world, especially the United States, does not support motherhood. It doesn't support the feminine in that way. And the women upholding this, it's incredible what they're doing. But this energy inside of us is meant to be a infinity loop where these two things are working hand in hand. The blade cuts, the blade protects, the blade creates boundaries, the blade is able to detach, the cup renews, restores, the chalice, the collective. Those two things are actually meant to work together. And that's ultimately what we're meant to, inside of ourselves, really marry. I'm starting to understand. It's really funny. I had this dream recently where I had a dream that it was like there was three men that I was that liked me, and one of them was this way, one of them was that way, and then the third one, which were all kind of images of my past, probably past parts of myself. The third one was this being, is just like this gorgeous being, and we started hooking up actually, and I was like enjoying his phallus and worshiping it, and I noticed below his phallus there was a vagina, and I didn't think that it was weird. I wasn't freaked out. I was like, wow, that's incredible. And I realized that that's like the true homeostasis of an ultimate expression of consciousness, is when you are able to integrate into yourself the masculine and feminine and not project it. I think codependency, and not only codependency, but the dynamics of our world are very much these push-pull, one or the other. And the whole path to wholeness and integration is to keep and hold these energies inside of the self. And, the age of Pisces was riddled with codependency. And the masculine and the feminine both were using the energies of the other, and they were just implanted in that. A lot of it. That's kind of what we're coming out of now. That's why there's so much confusion around gender, and there's so many gray areas. And ultimately, what we're meant to do internally is really go inside and find our own internal masculine and feminine, ground in our own internal masculine and feminine. And what that looks like, what I've come to realize that looks like, is that well, for myself, the thing that I've realized is that most of my life I was so intuitive and so psychic and so sensitive, and that archetype over time, it's like the witch's archetype, and kind of went underground, and it turned into servant role. It overgave to the point of not being able to receive, and through that process diminished self-worth. And through that process as well was seeking external relationships, really, people to give that structure, which is ultimately what I've realized is it's protection. The structure provides protection. And that was something that I was never fully taught. I don't think empaths are taught how to protect themselves energetically. And so it turns into this kind of parasitic thing where you end up giving your energy all the time to other sources, and then it wears away and depletes you. And then you're counting on this energy, this external energy, and it's like this missing piece of yourself. When people think they want like love and they desire love, like I was rom-com queen. I love love. I mean, my sun conjunct Venus, and I do love love, but it's this like longing and this thing that's missing inside of yourself. And I can say now that I've integrated that piece, and I don't have that same longing anymore. I feel whole. And it's because I've learned to integrate the masculine elements of myself. And that's ultimately where we're heading in this society, in this world, is that integration, internal integration, so that we can become more whole, so that our relationships are not based on need. They are based on collaboration. They are authentic, whole people and beings in their integrity coming together to collaborate. There's not this sucking energy off of one another because that person is unable to find inside of themselves the thing that they need to find for themselves. These can happen in friendships too, all kinds of relationships really. And our world's it's toxic because it ends up being one source is kind of feeding another in one way, and one source is feeding another in one way, and there are pieces of the other that the other person needs to integrate. We were talking about this in the Mystics this week, and it has a lot to do with shadow too. The things that are shadows, like that if somebody triggers you, the triggering meaning, oh, I'm angry. That person makes me angry. That person makes me jealous. That person makes me envious. I want to be that person, or I hate that person. And you don't fully understand why. It's just like, Or there's a charge. There's an obsession. Obsession can be a big one. There's a pedestalization. It can go up or down. The shadow, really. It can go, oh my God, that person's the most amazing person in the world. Or I hate that person. It's everywhere. But some people are dicks, and they just are. And that's when we start to know ourselves, know our discernment, know our intuition, to know kind of when it's our shadow and when it's like, no, that's justice. That's actually authentic, the balance, the scales feel imbalanced or whatever. But, when you have that shadow energy coming up, it's really information to help you figure out what you need to integrate into yourself. And all the codependency energies, a lot of it is based on shadows that have not been integrated, meaning parts of ourselves that we haven't been able to look at fully, our own wholeness, our own selves on a deep level. Shadow work. It's a powerful thing. It's something that I've done a lot of in my life, and it requires a lot of humility. It requires a lot of cracking the ego open. It requires letting go. It requires traveling into the shadows. It requires being brave, really brave, to be able to look at yourself honestly and transcend. But anyway, let's talk about the astrology of this week. That was my little diatribe. It's just Venusian energy all around this week. It's so cool, you guys. Oh my God. Like, just on the heels of this goddess ceremony I did, and then I was looking at the astrology and I was like, holy moly. So, on basically this week, we have these aspects. So, we have the collective North Node. Okay, so we have all this energy that's gone into Aries. First of all, we have Neptune that went into Aries, which I talked about that this week. I talked about that last week, but we can talk about it more. Basically, Neptune going into Aries is really signifying the birth of a new era. I think it's especially significant because where we're at in consciousness on this time and space, we're really moving into the acknowledgement of energy being real. Quantum reality being real. And Neptune kind of rules that. Neptune rules beyond space and time. It rules the ethers. It rules astral travel. It rules lucid dreaming. It rules dreams. It rules visions. It rules illusions. It rules addictions, how we escape, the places we go. Neptune is etheric. It is the ethers. It dissolves materiality. It moves you into other realms. And the archetype of Neptune during the age of Pisces was very much utilized for Jesus Christ, Jesus. It was very much, it's very much about martyrdom. Neptune's connected to Pisces, which is very much about martyrdom in a lot of ways, and its darker aspects. It's sacrificing the self. That's what happens when you can dissolve into others. It's boundarylessness. And that's what we're ultimately working with as we kind of create this new world together, is boundaries and boundarylessness. And what is the dance and interplay in between those two? And how do we work with energy and then create boundaries around that new energy so that it doesn't get infiltrated? I was having a lot of realizations last night in this gathering about energies that come into our field when we're getting really clear about things. When we become clear channels, and then these things come in to try to distract us and take us out of that. And our world is filled with it right now, right? In the past, they'd be like, go to church or whatever. Now it's like, get on your phone and there's a gajillion things. But you can feel the fragmentation of consciousness. And the fragmentation of consciousness, it fragments our focus, which is part of the whole thing with the internet and the phone. And it's up to us to really ground and get clear and focused so that we can stabilize energies and stabilize this new energy coming in. So part of the masculine, right, is about building structure and discipline. If we're internalizing that energy, then we have to learn how to have that, especially with our consciousness. What I'm working with now, actually, I'm going to be working with it in this new era, especially. I've got most things in my life pretty damn locked in. The one thing I think I need to work on is really having a different relationship with my phone. And I think it's like, I'm not really an addictive person, but it's, it's just the culture, right? It's like, what's on my phone? Who messaged me? What's going on? What's going out there? And I remember there's this one Prince quote where he's like, God, what did he say? It was so good. He was like, make sure that these machines aren't using you, and that you're using them. This should be a tool that you are harnessing and working with and that serves you, not the other way around. And starting to have awareness around that is, I think, really imperative and really important, because as we're moving into this new era and the empaths are starting to rise, the divine feminine is starting to rise, we need clarity. We need clear channels. We need discipline to have that. So that's something I'm going to be working on. But the astrology, back to the astrology, I keep going on tangents, but back to the astrology. So I was talking about Neptune. Going into, Aries and the energy of Neptune, and how it's this really etheric energy. And with that planet going into Aries, so basically Neptune rules Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. The whole zodiac is basically the human experience. It's from birth to death, 1 through 12. It's the clock. It's the cycle of time. It's the karmic loop. It's everything. You could tie it into so many things. It's incredible, astrology. It really is. But, for Neptune to be going into Aries, it's like, this is giving us legitimate spiritual power. And what I'm feeling as I was looking at this, I was like, this is giving us so much strength to actualize vision, because Aries is the planet of action. Aries moves. Aries makes things happen. Aries is not afraid. Aries is let's go. And Neptune is vision at its core. It's third eye. It's quantum. It's new dreams coming in, new information coming in, your intuition, those thought forms that kind of come around, repeated dreams, things you're getting inklings of, your intuition, your dreams. And man, have we forgotten our dreams, and the power of dreams and the power of human consciousness. The power of human consciousness, your consciousness, it's so powerful. And the old systems really, honestly, any power structure, any external power structure does not want human beings to realize the power of their consciousness. They want us to stay reliant on them so that they have control over us. And ultimately, what's interesting, if you really go in the macro picture, these are all aspects of ourselves. So how can we integrate that? We start to have control over ourselves. We start to have conscious control of our consciousness, and we are no longer dependent on these external structures. True power is not having power over somebody to control them. True power is that nothing is able to have power over you or instill fear into you. The root of all control is fear. And it's been a lot of fear of the expansion of consciousness. It's so silly on planet Earth. We've just been a silly bunch, haven't we? I mean, it's just so silly how we've been so afraid of the unknown. And I kind of think that this is such a radical time in human consciousness and history that though so many things are breaking down, that there's these portals opening of people just saying, fuck it, I'm going to go in and see what's going on with my consciousness, because reality is way too chaotic, and starting to work with their own power and their own levels of conscious awareness. So Neptune going into Aries, which happens on March 30th, which is today, actually, as I'm recording this, is just going to initiate this era of being able to step into real, new, authentic actions to vision. And man, am I feeling it. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it. So the other thing that's going on is that, so the day that this is happening, which is today, hello Neptune and Aries, I live for you, I'm here for you. This is just so wild. So the day that this is happening, we have the collective North Node, which I talk about the nodes a lot. They're freaking important. They really are. The nodes give you so much information in your birth chart. If you guys don't know about your birth chart, go look for your nodes, where your nodes are. They look like a little circle. You can look up what they look like. And see where your North Node is. See what sign it is in and see what house it's in. See if there's any planets next to it. And that can give you so much information about where you're heading in this life, because it's helped me so much understand where I'm heading. Here I am doing a podcast. I got my North Node in Gemini. And it's so funny because for so long, I had all these preconceptions about Gemini, which is hilarious. It was like the sign that I was like, it's bullshit. But previous me was like, had judgments about. I was burned by so many Gemini men when I was younger. And oh man, have I come to really respect and understand the energy of Gemini and understand what it's about in its highest form. It's about the Mercury element. It's about communication in its highest form. In its highest form, it's a channel. It's Thoth, the Egyptian god of all information. And that's what I'm here doing. I wrote a book. I'm about to write a second book. Here I am on a podcast. That's Gemini shit. You know what I mean? Channeling shit from the ancients. That's what's going on here. So look, and I didn't know that. I didn't know years ago that I was going to write a book. I didn't know I was going to, but then looking at my chart, I was like, where? Okay. North Node in Gemini. Here we go. So anyway, the collective North Node, which is where we're all collectively heading, is currently in Pisces. Okay. So it's kind of great because we came out of this Pisces cycle. There's a lot of planets. So the nodes go backwards. So the node, they stay in one sign for a year and a half. So last year and a half it was in Aries, which is kind of great because it's been doing this kind of switch, because now we're moving into spring and all these planets are moving forward from Pisces into Aries. That's where we're at right now. But the North Node at this day of Neptune going into Aries is exact degrees as Venus, man, which Venus rules the feminine. Venus rules the divine feminine. Venus rules joy, beauty, abundance. It rules the finer things in life. It rules receptivity. It rules self-worth. It rules beauty. It rules Mother Earth. Good food, fruit, juiciness, pleasure in all its forms, slowness, sensuality. It is the goddess incarnate. That is Venus. And she is exact degrees today as the collective evolutionary point for everyone on planet Earth at this moment that Neptune is moving into Aries. To me, that is no freaking coincidence, especially after I did a goddess ceremony last night. I'm like, this is real. Everything I'm feeling is real. Everything we're feeling is real, guys. You know, somebody was asking me what kind of astrologer I am. People have been asking me that lately. And I'm like, I am not a predictive astrologer. I'm not the kind of astrologer that's going to look at the chart and be like, oh, this is what's going to be happening. I better buckle up. I'm the kind of astrologer that's like, what's going on with me right now? And what do I need to look at the chart to see how that's confirming everything? That's why we use astrology. We don't do it to dictate our behaviors. We do it to confirm our behaviors. So that it helps us on our journey navigate these waters of evolution and transformation that we're all going through. The other thing that's wild is that it's on a 27 degree arc. So, which it's funny because I was born on the 27th, but 27 is a very powerful number, not because I was born on it, but just because it is. It adds up to 9. And this is a 9 year, which is the year of the snake. People, come on. You can't make this shit up. Okay? And the year of the snake is connected to this cracking open of a new body, of a new energy, of a new consciousness, of this primordial shedding, of this death of the old and this birth of the new. And my God, is it Venus? It's mother truckin' Venus. What's also interesting is that Venus is conjunct Saturn. Saturn is the stabilizer. It's the materializer. It's the Lord of karma. It's the thing that comes around and says, okay, this is what you need. This is where your work lies. This is where your focus needs to be. This is what you need to work on. This is what you need to materialize. It's what brings us down to earth. It's the great teacher. And man, that is blending with these energies right now. Just screaming out, this is the karma of this moment. This is the karma of these times. This is the evolution, the consciousness, the birthing. It's so powerful. And then we have the North Node on the other side conjunct by Mercury, which is liberating the voice chakra, it's like it's what this is right here. This discussion we're having on the power of Venus, materializing it, putting it out and creating it more, adding to that energy, allowing it to birth itself, establishing it, creating a boundary around itself. What's wild too is that Pluto, the Lord of transformation, is sextiling and Mars is trining, meaning there is massive support for this transit right now. It's just being blasted. So, and then we got Uranus trining it as well, sextiling it. So all of those, a sextile and a trine, are all these aspects, sextiles and trines, they're harmonious. They're just giving it more life. They're giving it more energy. They're like, it's like a note that's in harmony. So we have the Mars, the planet of action, that's pushing this energy forward even more. We have Pluto, the Lord of transformation and death and rebirth. Talk about snake energy, pushing this energy even more. I mean, you can't get more cosmically supported than this moment in time right now for the emergence of the divine feminine, for the emergence of the priestess, the goddess, inside of us all. So this is for everyone. This is for everyone, men included. Yes, it's time that women be revered in a new way. The wisdom of women, their power, their bodies, their life, their intuition. But it's also a time for the men to be able to integrate and value and see their own inner feminine, the part of them that is emotional and intuitive and feeling and able to express itself and creative and empathic and opening up to the masculine energy, when men's inner feminine, so that it doesn't necessarily need to extract from the feminine outside of itself, just as the feminine needs to open to its own inner masculine, so that it doesn't need that the external masculine as structure. These things need to be integrated. So it's permission on all fronts for every being on earth to really start opening up, for the feminine in all of us. It's about allowing ourselves a life of more pleasure and starting to realize that we don't have to motherfucking grind anymore. You are the actor, director, producer, writer of your play. And the more that you can start surrounding yourself with less matrix talk, the news, the old, start infusing your body, your spirit, your mind with the new, the energies that empower you. Venus at her core, if we're all going to start embodying Venus in a new way, is about receptivity. Receptivity is the key to self-worth. And really, in the old paradigm, we were trained, none of us were trained to have self-worth. No human. Male, female, nobody. We abused the animals. We abused everything because we had no self-worth. Self-worth because it was competition, domination, control, fear. And if we want that earth to change, if we want to renew this planet, we have to renew ourselves. Take responsibility for our internal dynamics and start to open up to pleasure. So many people are like, what does that even mean? Receptivity. Think about this. Receptivity is the key to self-worth. Giving to yourself the things you have most craved. A lot of it has to do with the creative waters of the things that your soul urges to express. That's a way to give to yourself. Like when I do this podcast, it gives me so much life. It makes me feel in alignment. It really puts me in my Venusian energy because I'm giving this thing to myself, that I've wanted to express, that I feel I need to do. What is that for you? What creative project is that for you? It doesn't have to be this. It could be anything. Your own sacred divine feelings of receptivity channels, opening your receptivity channels. Because when we all start to have more self-worth and we all start receiving from Gaia and spirit and allowing ourselves to live in that on a deeper basis, on a more continuous basis, oh man, the world will change. When you have that, you create inner stability. You don't need to run out for things. There's not this addiction. There's not these obsessions. There's not this escapism, which is all Neptunian stuff inverted. It's actually, we're giving to ourselves. We're manifesting our visions on a higher timeline. And we're doing it internally so we become more whole. So, I could talk about Venus all day. But that's kind of my thoughts on that. And it's just, what a powerful, incredible time right now. Wow. I was singing some songs last night, and I was able to, there's this incredible woman there, Lauren, who was singing these songs that were just amazing. God, from the depths of her soul, she was singing these songs, and her voice had this cadence that was so powerful. And I started singing with her, and I hit notes I had never hit before. And it was like a new energy emerged from me. It was incredible. It's time. It's time the Venus, the goddess, the beauty be let out. All right, guys. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful week. All right, talk to you later.